Hey, folks, welcome to another episode of Cutter One. I am your host, Jay, just Jay, your resident troublemaker and your resident culture warrior. I hope you are all doing well on this Wednesday. You guys are going to be seeing this on Wednesday. I'm recording Tuesday night, but you guys will see it on Wednesday. So I hope you're doing well. We are halfway through this week. And, as always, hopefully things will just get easier and we can just coast on into the weekend and have another fun-filled weekend. All right, let's get right into it. A couple of articles I wanted to talk about today that came across the old wire desk, whatever, and I found on the interwebs. So let's check this out. This one is coming to us from Looper, the good folks over at Looper. And it is Warner Brothers urged to cast their Lord of the Rings movie rights into Mount Doom. Amazon Prime Video's The Rings of Power has dominated the cinematic Middle-earth conversation, for better or for worse, for the past half-decade, and yet J.R.R. Tolkien's globally popular fantasy world is far too large even to be contained by the likes of a company as massive as Amazon. Other creative entities are still releasing Middle-earth games, books, and merchandise at a rapid clip. In fact, even when it comes to filmed adaptations, Prime Video doesn't corner the market. Technically, they only have the rights directly from the Tolkien estate to produce a serialized television show in the Second Age using severely limited source material for inspiration. When it comes to making feature-length movies set in Middle-earth, tracing the rights is a bit more complicated. So, at the risk of oversimplifying a mind-numbing string of legal events, let's do a quick history lesson, shall we? The Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit rights were sold decades ago by Mr. Tolkien himself, per Tolkien Gateway, for a meager $250,000. They were quickly repurchased by independent producer Saul Zaentz, who retained them until 2022, when Embracer Group bought them under the entity of Middle-earth Enterprises. Throughout this time, different studios have worked with the rights owners, including Warner Brothers, which owns a large chunk of the distribution rights for both movies and merch, at least for the moment. However, a recent exclusive scoop from the fan site Fellowship of the Fans claims Warner Brothers has officially been asked to step out of the Middle-earth arena by the end of 2023. Rumor claims Warner Brothers has been asked to amicably exit Middle-earth. According to the exclusive announcement from Fellowship of Fans, Lord of the Rings and Hobbit film and merchandise rights owner Middle-earth Enterprises, recently acquired by Embracer Group, has formally asked Warner Brothers to amicably exit the pair of Middle-earth franchises by the end of 2023, with the goal to pave the way for the rights to be sold to a new owner. However, how's that for a mouthful? The rumor clarifies that the exit talks have just started, and Warner Brothers has not had a chance to respond yet. It also points out that this doesn't appear to impact Warner Brothers' right to finish its War of the Rohirrim Middle-earth anime film, slated for release in 2024. In other words, there's a chance that the studio could still patch things up with MEE and retain the rights moving forward. However, it's plausible that MEE will want to head off in search of bigger fish to fry. There will likely be a line of major studios with deep pockets who will be interested in adapting Tolkien's iconic books. This includes candidates like Disney, Apple, Netflix, and of course Amazon, which already has the television rights from the Tolkien estate. Right there, I just have to interject. God forbid Disney, Apple, or Netflix get their hands on any of the rights to do anything Tolkien. Oof. Okay, just that thought sends a shiver down my spine. It's a complicated legal web, and the end result, if the rumors are true, could simply be several months of negotiations that end with Warner Brothers still churning out Middle-earth content for the foreseeable future. Then again, this could be a defining moment in the adaptive history of Tolkien's world. It could mark the ushering in of a new regime intent on bringing a fresh wave of Middle-earth movies to the silver screen. Again, reading that fills me with fear. I'm sorry, but it just does. Okay, what new Middle-earth content could we see? Oh boy. Leaving the merch question aside, if Warner Brothers relinquishes its distribution rights by 2024, what new movies could we see from a new studio moving forward within the admittedly sticky boundaries of buying, selling, and distributing the movie rights to printed source material? For further reference, see the Hulk's lengthy and complicated rights issues. The news that The Lord of the Rings and Hobbit stories could be back on the market is full of potential. This starts with The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit movies themselves. Based on this latest scoop, they could be remade at some point in the next few years. On top of that, the Rings of Power series has shown there is a lot of additional content contained within the 4 books, and especially the appendices of The Return of the King, that could be spun into new movies. There's the possibility of a young Aragorn spin off film. The war between the dwarves and the orcs, briefly depicted in the Hobbit trilogy, is also included in all of its bloody detail. Gollum's origin is an option too, as is the epic war fought with the Witch King centuries before the Lord of the Rings story. There's plenty of fodder to work with scattered throughout those hollowed pages of fantasy lore. The unanswered question is, will it be Warner Brothers or another company that will get a chance to helm the Middle-earth film production process moving forward? Um, mm, I see. Okay, I'm of the mindset that you know Warner Brothers. They've done good insofar as with the rights to the Peter Jackson films and so on and so forth, right? And holding on to that stuff and not allowing the bastardization of Tolkien's work by like just churning out nonsensical stuff. And my thing is, which is the lesser of two evils? Warner Brother hanging on to this stuff, so there's sort of like a stopgap there, or Warner Brothers giving up those rights, in which case, like you said, then you run the potential of Disney getting a hold of them. You run the potential of Netflix or Apple, right? Apple TV getting a hold of the rights, and God only knows what they could do. Like, I shudder to think at what Disney would do to Lord of the Rings. We saw what they did with Star Wars, right? Now imagine this. Imagine on Disney Plus is where you had to go to get all of your Tolkien content, right? So meaning if you don't already own the Blu-rays or DVDs of the Peter Jackson films or the extended editions, the only way you'd be able to view them, hypothetically speaking, would be is you would have to have a Disney Plus account, right? Now, I don't know about you guys, but I do not have a Disney Plus account. I did the thing. I signed up for the free trial the day before the last episode of The Mandalorian season 1. Disney was offering a free 7-day trial. I signed up for the free 7-day trial the day before the season finale of episode for season 1 of The Mandalorian. Binge watched the entire season of The Mandalorian and then the final episode, and then canceled my free subscription, or my 7-day trial, I should say. Since then, I have not had anything to do with Disney Plus. I will not give Disney any money. If I can actively avoid it, I will. But that's just me, right? That's just because of what they've done to Star Wars, right? Now imagine, not only do you have to go to Disney Plus to get all of your Lord of the Rings content, unless you own copies on DVD or Blu-ray, but now imagine what type of content they would come up with. You just heard some of it, the adventures of young Aragorn. Gollum, an origin story, God, Isildur, the Forgotten Years. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's scary. You know, the Travels of Sauron, he's just a lonely Maiar, just making his way in Middle Earth, trying to find new and creative ways. If people would only just see it his way, and this is his story as this misunderstood, Maiar, who's just trying to help the good people of Middle Earth, is constantly being misunderstood and taken for granted and viewed differently than what his intentions are. That's the type of stuff that I would see, coming out of Disney Plus or Netflix or Apple TV. Um, you know, the War of Dwarves and Orcs. Brought to you by Netflix. I don't know. I just given the opportunity, I would say Warner Brothers hang on to it because at least that's sort of acting as sort of a stopgap to prevent the complete and utter bastardization and I don't know what's the best word and this is going to sound so weird because I'm just sort of making it up, but the Star Warsification of Tolkien. Okay, and for those of you, who know what Disney did with once they purchased Star Wars, you know what I'm talking about. You know what the Star Warsification of a franchise would be, right? And I think Warner Brothers holding on to those rights prevents that. So I'm kind of in the camp of like let Warner Brothers hang on to the rights because the alternative is scary. It is scary to think that Disney could get their hands on the rights to do Tolkien adaptations, or that Netflix could get their hands on the rights to do Tolkien adaptations, or that Apple TV could get their hands on the rights to do Tolkien adaptations. That scares me more than the rights staying with Warner Brothers. But I don't know. You guys let me know what you think down in the comments section below. Remember, if you like the video, like the video. If you feel like sharing the video, by all means, it helps us with the algorithm. Right, Jonathan? It helps us with the algorithm, gets us seen. The more people we get out there, the more people we have joining the army of beautiful badasses. And if you have not subscribed, I would hope that you would consider subscribing. We tend to have a good time. We do a live stream on Saturdays. It's fun. We have a good time. And yeah, I think that's going to do it for this one. So let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Do you think would you want Warner Brothers to hang on to them? Or do you think maybe it's time to let another company, potentially, like I said, Amazon, Netflix, Apple TV, or Disney, get a crack at the professor's work? Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Remember, as always, to be good, be awesome, be safe, but more importantly, stay more dorkish. Peace.